Vishnupadaya, Vishnuprastaya, Bhutale, Vishnupadaya, Swami, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Bhagavani Chaitanya, Namaste, Shri Vishnupadaya, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasa Gauravanita. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Thank you for coming. Today is the 19th of June, 2013, and we're here in Vrindavan. And our purpose today is to, within a 2-day period, impart as much as possible the Spalding method for language arts. So as you know, our process from the very beginning is interactive. Whatever we explain, we see it, hear it, say it, and write it. That way your chances of retention and sharing go up. All right? That's our principle. Otherwise, if you just sit here and listen to me lecture, we have the same. Actually, my commitment to the see, hear, say, write method of instruction, I credit much of it to the Spalding method because its effectiveness is based on those 4 actions. Okay? So if you will all take your iPads, all right, and we will begin. The first skill in a program is to investigate the resources. In this case, this particular system is extremely simple yet extremely effective. And the resources include 1 book. And at the time this 5th edition was purchased, it was $21, that was all. I suppose now it's a little bit more. And this book has sufficient instruction within it for grades 1 through 8. So that is a good buy, because basically it's an extremely cost-effective system. It's coming from a foundation, not just a book-selling company. If you are in most schools in America or India, the textbook business is like the medical business, right? They want to sell you something. So I find that this is part of the integrity, the beauty of the Spalding method. 1 textbook. The child needs just a pencil, a notebook, and as Spalding says, his brain. You know, other systems often depend on the book to do the work. And the teacher will depend on fancy equipment, videos, whatever. Spalding isn't like that. The teacher has to know the system. The teacher has to be able to present it. And the teacher has to work hard. But the results are phenomenal. So if one's willing to make that initial sacrifice, the return is extremely rewarding. So that's the book. We'll take a look at this book first, and then right on our slates as well, I'll put this. Okay. We integrate skills with knowledge. So 1 skill is to analyze the material, the book. At first glance, this book would appear too academic. It's thick, it's small print on black and white. Okay. All right. And there are very few photographs, and what few there are in black and white. So initially, especially now with media and computers, a person looking at this program, and the comment is quite common, oh, this looks too dry, this looks too technical. It's too complicated, I'm sure there's a system that's easier. But we cannot be, shall I say, discouraged by such an initial, which I say, impact on the book. All right. So the first principle from speed reading books is to get to know a book in just a short amount of time. And we were doing this last night with Preeti. So the experts tell us to get to know a book. It's pretty common, because if you go to a bookshop, the books there are to be sold. So the publishers do things like advertisers to entice you into looking into the book and buying it. It will tell you what the book is, what the advantages are, and why you need to have it. So we will do that kind of an analysis, because already the writer and the publishers have done a lot of work for us. So we want to know what's in this book and why will it help me? in my desire to teach English. So first of all, we see the title, and it is called The Writing Road to Reading. Now you have a little pink booklet with you, okay? This booklet is another strategy. It's called a walkthrough booklet. When I do presentations, I like to take the major features of a big book that has to be studied and extract those and create a walkthrough booklet so the people attending the seminar or even the students, and students can make booklets like this for all the courses they study, right? They can apply this idea. If a student is going to study science or chemistry, he can create his own walkthrough booklet, a handy little reference. It's a skill, extracting the most important things in a handy little brochure. Okay, so the first thing we see in this book that will help us understand the uniqueness of this program is the unusual title. It is called The Writing Road to Reading. So one will say, why is it called The Writing Road to Reading? And as we proceed, we will see why. And that is the brilliance of the program, why it's so effective. So what's the title of the book?
Writing.
And what's unusual about it? Normally we don't think about reading as writing our way to reading, right? We just thought we taught how to read. But actually, with this system, the children are not taught how to read. They're taught phonograms, perfect writing, and they just start reading. They are not taught how to read. So that is the amazing thing about this system. Okay. Let us look further on this title. So first of all, we all know the title, and we know that it's an unusual title. Now we say, is this an experiment? Is this a novelty? Why is it titled? All right, so we ask this question. The Spalding method, we find out what is its application. We have 4. How many? Speech, spelling, writing, and reading. So I think in your little walkthrough booklet in the beginning, that has been extracted in your little pink booklet. Please check, because I don't remember what I wrote. Is that there? The 4 things, right? That this book is for teaching speech, spelling, writing, and reading. Reading and writing, the 2 R's, right? And 2 S's. Spelling and speech. All right, so we'll put that into a code. Because the idea is, we can sit and listen, and then when you go back, you won't remember much. Okay, so we know the title is unusual. It's called The Writing Road, and it's for teaching speech, right? Spelling, writing, and reading. These 4 language aspects are presented in very specific, effective lessons in this volume. Okay? So now turn to your study buddy, and you tell them, what is the system for? You have to be able to repeat. Otherwise, we're just hearing a lecture. 20%, as opposed to you go back and you can preach this to someone else. Okay? So what will this book enable me to teach? Okay? Yeah? So Preeti, you want to work with Mataji or whatever? Or you prefer to stand?
I prefer to stand.
No problem. Whatever. Okay? What are the 4 things now? You tell your neighbor. Okay? Okay?
Yeah.
Now in particular, in Preeti's case, she has to go back to Melbourne, and she has to convince parents who wish to start homeschooling, but they're uneasy, as many are. So she has not had the system herself, but there we go. You have this. You have the code. Very nice. She has to be able to convince others that this system has validity. So you have to be able to explain it. All right, you have to be able to explain it. So now we all know what this book can do for us, right? If we adopt the process. As Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness works to the degree to which we follow the prescription. If we can't follow the prescription, we can't expect the same results. Okay? Now let's take a look. Let's analyze the book further. Because these people want you to purchase this book. And it's not just a bluff. All right, it says here, first line, the proven research-based method that has helped millions of children for more than 40 years. Now this book I acquired over 15 years ago, at least, maybe 10. So now we have two keywords here, proven and research-based. It's not just somebody's whimsical, imaginative idea. So we have two things here. It's proven and it's research-based. Spalding worked for years with scientists in how to deal with children who had dyslexia, severe learning problems. Usually the best systems in the world focused on helping special groups of children. Now special can also mean gifted children, but special often implies children with learning disabilities. Dyslexia is a very difficult one for readers, and a large number of children have this problem. So it's proven. It's research-based. And did you remember what they said? It has worked for how many children?
Millions.
Millions. Is this a new idea? No. Millions of children. And you want yours to be one of them. Okay. And not only that, the last point there, and it is, at least at the time this edition was published, for over 40 years. So this has some credibility in terms of not only a large number of children, but a long period of time. Okay, so now we know the method is proven, it's research-based, it has helped millions of children for over 40 years. So now what you're learning is an advertising speech. It's okay, because we're not trying to make money today, we're trying to help children. All right, so please tell your neighbor the next important thing about the Writing Road to Reading program, okay? Is if you're there and you're making the presentation, as she will, in 2 or 3 days. Okay. Okay.
So first thing is that it's proven and it's research-based. And it's proven research-based because Spalding's worked with children who have special needs, and that's why it's for millions of children, yeah, and it was for millions of children, and she's been using it for the last 40 years. That's why.
You have to convince people that this is just not a whimsical thing. That this is solid and it is a respectable program. It's highly effective. Okay, let's take a look at the next point, because we want to, this is your selling speech. All right? This book is expanded, updated, and easy to use. Now, I have had a copy, I don't think I have it anymore, that I received in 1992. It was an old red one, and it didn't have nearly the features that these books had. It just had a spelling list, how to sit, how to hold a pencil, how to make perfect letters. But there was no creative writing section, there was no literary analysis, there was no thinking skills section. There was no syllabus, it was just the phonograms applied to spelling and reading. And it still was amazing. But now, this foundation, with the demise of the author, has expanded the program to make a comprehensive language program that includes writing, that means creative writing, as well as reading. And that doesn't mean just picking up a book and reading. That means analysis of reading for its literary merit. And also thinking skills, how to use thinking skills as one is studying, working, reading, and writing. So the book is quite evolved now, much thicker. Also, the spelling list has increased. The old book had 1,700 words. This has 2,300 words, and we'll talk about which words they are, because everything in here is purposeful, meaningful, effective. Okay? So now we know it's expanded, updated, and easy to use. So let's use EUE. Okay. It's an expanded version, the 5th edition. It's updated, and it's what everybody wants. Easy. Looks dry, but we've done things to make it easier. Did you bring your photocopies along? Good. So we can show them how using our own abilities to make whatever material we cover mind easy. That's part of our own creativity in applying a program. So it's expanded, updated, and easy to use. All right, you want to tell your study buddy some more features about it? You know, it's millions of children have been helped. It's been around for over 40 years. It's scientifically based. It's proven. Now, what else can we say about it? Go ahead.
So it's expanded.
Very good. Expanded, updated, and easy. Can you say all those words? Easy? He's so well behaved.
Easy to use.
Right. He's made so much advancement just in a couple of weeks. Remember when he first came, he was all over the... Fantastic. Thank you. All right, now we're spending a lot of time on the cover, but the experts in speed reading tell their students to go to a bookstall where they sell paperbacks, and every day part of their assignment is to spend 15 minutes at the bookstall and get to know thoroughly 2 books, and then don't buy them. So that's what they do. They pick up the book, they master the cover, they master the back, they check the flaps, memorize it, they memorize the table of contents, they go through, they look for any other features such as photographs, subdivisions, questions, and then they close the book, and in 15 minutes, many have said they can have a discourse with a professor on the topic, and they didn't even buy the book. So they cover 2 books a day that way in speed reading courses, just what we're doing now. Because the book is a lot of details, but the essential points. Okay, so this is a study strategy for you. If you're teaching anything, you can do the same thing. Take the cover, take the back, check the flaps, memorize the table of contents. That's what we do with our students. Memorize the table of contents, memorize the unit divisions, look at all the photographs, memorize the captions, look for any graphics organizers, look for study questions. And the child already has a very clear picture of what he's about to do. It's like traveling to a new country. You'll buy a brochure, right? And you'll read about it. Where are the hotels? Where are the restaurants? Where are the places what are the places to see? How much money to carry? Right? So do the same thing with a book. It's a journey. Okay, so prepare for your journey. Okay. All right, let's see what other features are here. Very important. It significantly improves student classroom performance. Doesn't every teacher want this? It significantly improves student classroom performance. It significantly, every teacher wants to have success, needs to have success, not only to keep the job, but to have a life of integrity in the profession. Right? You don't want to be in a classroom and feel that you have failed all of those poor little entities sitting in front of you. It significantly improves student classroom performance. You need to be able to say these things before a group of people, because they're going to say, well, that's their opinion. They're trying to sell the book. But then later what we do is we examine the endorsements, the testimonials, to see what people who have tried it say. But first we need to know what the publisher says. Okay, and if he's being honest. So we know that if we're in the classroom, student classroom performance will be significantly improved. SIP, right? A little sip at a time. Very good. Okay, so now tell your study buddy what this system can do in the classroom for you. Okay, now it may seem to you that we're spending a lot of time on this, but this is extremely fundamental because you have to be convinced too. Okay. The next feature dramatically increases standardized test scores. Dramatically increases. It just doesn't increase. It dramatically increases standardized test scores. And if you saw the feature of that movie, Ron Clark, that was his specialty when he went to get a job. He said, I focus on raising standardized test scores. And he does.
I wish to see the same kind of people around.
Right. That was his forte. He says, I specialize in raising standardized test scores. So if you watch that movie, you'll see he had done it in the, South, where the kids were middle-class Americans. But to do it in Harlem with 6th graders who were losers, you have to be pretty good. Okay. So it dramatically increases standardized test scores. So please tell that to your study buddy. Fantastic. He is so well behaved in just a week's time. I bet you don't even realize who you're living with anymore, huh? A new personality? He's emerged from the cocoon to the butterfly. And our final point, and then we'll do a summation, all right? This application now, classroom, home, special ed, and ESL, 4 things. So it's good for the classroom, it's good for the home, and this is a big feature, special education. This usually means children who have difficulties, learning problems. It can also mean special education can be children who are very gifted. They're a challenge too, because they need to be realizing their full potential. And then the last one, this is special ed, and the last one, important in India, is ESL, or wherever you have second language as the major language. So if you're teaching in India, or you're teaching in another country where English is not the primary mother tongue, this system is very, very helpful. So now we know it's good for classroom, home, special education, and ESL. And we'll get Archie a magic slate here. We'll get one more out.
English as a second language.
You'll also need a tray. I'll get one where we have more trays inside so you can keep all your materials. We are doing the first strategy, and that is to analyze the material by examining and memorize the cover. Because the cover is what the publisher wants us to buy. Why the publisher wants us to buy the book. Yeah, the Writing Road to Reading, you have that. She has the photocopy of that, okay? So now, in summary, with your notes and your memory, we're going to sum all this up. This edition, the 5th edition of the Writing Road to Reading, stresses that this is a unique method and that writing is the approach to learning to read. That is quite unique. This method is for teaching 4 things: spelling, speech, writing, and reading. All right? We want to know what it covers. And we question, is the author just bluffing? How do we know the system works? In the first line, we found out that it is a proven method. It's scientifically based, research-based, and it has been helping children, millions, for 40 years at least. It's not a new thing, and it has been proven to help millions of children. This edition is expanded, updated, and easy to use. On top of this, we want to know the benefits for you as a teacher. It significantly improves classroom performance, and it dramatically increases standardized test scores. That is how most teachers keep their jobs. How are their children testing on standardized tests? And application, classroom, the home, special ed, and ESL. And the creator of the system is Romalda Bishop Spalding. It's called the Spalding method, the Writing Road to Reading. She is now passed on. She lived to be in her 90s, and her whole life was dedicated to advancing literacy. She wasn't marketing a book publisher. She was into, it's a foundation for advancing literacy. Okay? So everybody's good on that? So now turn and tell the whole, summarize the whole cover with your partner. Because in essence, this is the important thing about this system. All right? So see if you can do that with your study partner now. And I think you need one of these in pamphlets. These are the walkthrough books that accompany. This is a walkthrough the whole book. It's another studies. Beg your pardon? Yeah, reading the pencil. Right. A walkthrough book takes the features of a book and puts them in a simple digest, like Reader's Digest.
Learn to read and then learn to write. But this has a special method that's why it's called the writing. And then, why should, as teachers, we read this because it's so important.
And I have many, and I'll tell you even sources. The source for this information is coming from a book called Breakthrough Rapid Reading by the author Peter Comp. And in the 60s, he trained the White House staff to speed read. And he was director for Evelyn Wood's speed reading for many years. And then he left and he wrote a book. It's a program. You can actually follow his course. So whatever I'm telling you is coming from authorized books on teaching courses in that specific topic. It's not speculation whatsoever. Okay? Now we know what the publishers say, but let's find out what the users say. What do either the experts or the people who have personally tried the system say? These are called your testimonials. On the back of the book, you have here in black and red, the black is the quote, and the red is the person. In this little booklet, in the very last page, we have two. So let's see which ones we've chosen. These are your testimonials. From two sources, educators, right, not just parents, people who are in the profession, as well as parents, because both have to be satisfied. A parent may not know enough and be happy, but an educator will know more. And if an educator advises it, then you have to take note. He's not just a lay person, he's a professional. So, but we also want parents to be happy. What if an educator says it's good, but the parent says, but it didn't work for me? So we have what educators and parents say about the Spalding method. So of the four testimonials, there are more in the book, but on the back, I chose two. I chose the name Sylvia Richardson, and she's a professor of communication, sciences, and disorders, and a clinical professor of pediatrics in Tampa, Florida. So she has credentials working with children and special children as well as communication. The other one I chose is Robert Sweet, nice name, and he's a professional staff member on the Committee of Education for the U.S. State Congressman. So that's a very elevated post. He's working with education for the U.S. Congress. So let's see what they say. We can read along. Okay? Because it's important, unless you know what people who have professional credentials, if they're endorsing something, then we should consider. The strength of the Spalding method is that children quickly learn the mechanics of reading, freeing them to enjoy the benefits of good literature at an early age. Now that's an important thing. Most times children go to school to learn to read, but if they can read, then they read to learn. You know, you spend 5 years trying to learn to read, but what if you spend 5 years reading to learn? Spalding is effective because its principles and methods of instruction are well grounded in reading research. So this is a research personality. First testimonial. Okay. The second one. Romualda Spalding's The Writing Road to Reading is a total language arts method that captures all the richness and variety of the English language. For 40 years, classroom teachers across America have found that it works. I enthusiastically endorse the Spalding method because I know that if we're taught in every classroom, illiteracy would vanish. That's a pretty broad statement. And this is a congressman on a committee for education. Okay. And he's stressing it's been working for 40 years, and it's also beautiful because it captures the richness and variety of English language. So those are 2 out of the 4 testimonials. You'll find others here. One is a homeschooler. She said the method was indispensable to me in homeschooling my 4 children over the last 13 years. I highly recommend The Writing Road to Reading to any parent seeking a meaningful and successful homeschooling experience. So many of you are out to initiate homeschooling programs. Here's another one, a clinical psychologist from Sydney, Australia. Okay. The Spalding method is ideal for mainstream or learning disabled students because it is based on knowledge of how the brain works and sound educational principles. Okay? So we're getting really elevated personalities making very, very profound testimonials. Okay, so far so good? All right. Now, we're going to show you what the next stage is. If I can borrow Preeti's copies, we've had this photocopied the other day from her. The book, as you see, is thick, black and white, small print, no colored photographs, almost no charts or tables. So to the person who's not an academician, the person would say, I'm sorry, I don't have the time to learn this. So the first thing we do in helping people consider Spalding is we show people how the job isn't so big as it appears, and it isn't so dry as it appears, and how to make it actually user-friendly for the teacher, not only for the children. So the first thing we did was we analyzed the breakdown of the book, and it is in 2 parts. Half of the book is lessons, and the other half is just the materials. So suddenly this big, thick book is reduced to half size. Right? I don't really have 400 pages to plow through. I have 200, and that has been color-coded so that I can quickly access the 3 lessons in the book. The philosophy is in white, the spelling is in yellow, the creative writing is in pink, and I had chosen blue, but they didn't have blue, they gave us light green for the reading literacy part. Okay? How to analyze literature. So now, does this big, thick book look so terrible? It looks more like a rainbow ice cream. Okay. And I can quickly find what I need. And I can keep my spelling list separate. This is comprised mostly of yellow. Why so many yellow pages? Because in this section you have 2,300 high-frequency spelling words, marked according to the system with an explanation of the pronunciation and spelling rules, which are only 29. Also with instructional tips and pronunciation tips. Complete dialogue is there. So now the book doesn't seem so bad at all. It's actually a spelling list and a color-coded ice cream. So now it's not, now the idea is to try to convince people, please try the system. It's not as bad as it looks. And no matter what you do, I color code other books too. When I do Wilkinson's Laws of the Learner, I color code each law when I photocopy those books. That way people right away can find it. So you can take that same concept and do that with your children's books. You can put tabs on sections in the book. You can put color inserters in there. You can do all kinds of creative things. You can have your children come up with a little walkthrough booklet. It's a summary study so that the child can turn around and teach the course. Okay? True. Any course you want to teach. Sometimes the concern is, oh, they have to do their academics. Make that easy and make that fun and creative, okay, so that you can spend more time on Krishna. Okay. So now you see another strategy, how to make your materials accessible, user-friendly for the teacher, quickly accessible, right? Okay, I'm a little caught here on the spiral binding, but you see the idea. Okay? So far you have two ideas, how to examine the book and how to make that book user-friendly for you as a teacher. Now, let's take a look. This is another skill, make a walkthrough book. Rather than take you through this whole book, because this again is big and cumbersome, we've already turned it into a rainbow sherbet. Now we're going to reduce it to a little essence booklet. This is called a walkthrough scheme. Okay. Let's take a look. We'll just walk through the book. On the first inside page, we have, in summary, the cover, which you know already have put to some degree to your memory. The next two pages are the key features of the two parts I just showed you, right? Instructional materials, as well as lessons and procedures. So part one is lessons, procedures, and theoretical foundations. Part two, instructional materials. We're not going to write these down, so we're just going to walk. This is a quick tour around the campus. Okay? Two parts to the book, lessons, procedures, and theoretical foundations. And this side is instructional materials, part two. So you see how I divided the book. I saw this right away, I did it to the book. Next, we won't go into details, we're just doing a quick walkthrough. The essential elements of the Spalding process shown in a graphics organizer. A circle, a pie graph, showing philosophy as the core, like our mind maps, and the spelling, reading, writing lessons as being the main lessons. So how many lessons are there in the book? Three. Spelling, writing, reading. And what's the core? Philosophy. It's just like Krishna consciousness. There's a very strong philosophy because this system is unique. So Krishna consciousness is unique. If you don't know the philosophy, you won't manage in spiritual life for long. You won't chant, you won't follow the regular principles, you won't attend the program, because you don't see the need. But someone who's accepted the philosophical foundation, he will adhere to the process. If you can accept the philosophical foundation for Spalding, you can adhere to the system. Okay. Without philosophy, you'll say too dry, too complicated, too hard. Okay. But we've tried to actually eliminate those arguments so people are not put off, because they will benefit. Just like Krishna consciousness, we try to encourage people, take to Krishna consciousness. You'll benefit at whatever level you can do it. Okay? The next page, educational philosophy, essential elements. I think there are about 9 points here. 9 points. These are the key philosophical principles in educational theory. And Spalding says all of these are integrated into our system. So if you want to know what are the most important things as a teacher to abide by, 9 points. The 9-point. Just like hearing, chanting, remembering, praying. Okay. Next page. The Kalyan model of instruction. Brilliant. This is coming from at least 1970, perhaps. This is a 6-step process for effective teaching. Can you see that? The Collin model. Okay. Next, you see a picture, your first picture. Okay, you see the little picture there? You see the picture? Come on. You see a little girl sitting? Can you show us the picture? Yes, point. Very good. You see a little girl sitting. Nothing is too insignificant for Spalding. Nothing. Everything is critical. If a person wishes to be a gold medal champion in the Olympics, that coach will specify what to eat, when to eat, what time to take rest, what food to eat, what kind of shoes to wear. They specify everything because it's critical. Spalding is like that. There is nothing too insignificant for her to address. Nothing. From how to sit, how to hold a book, how to hold a pencil, how to hold a paper, how to put your feet on it. Everything is described. Now, someone might say that is too militaristic. It sounds like, you know, Germany, World War II. But it's not. Because with each point, she stresses the benefit, scientifically. Why should I sit straight? Why should I have both feet on the floor? Why should I have my hand holding the book on this book? Why should I hold my pencil this way? Why should I, why? Scientifically. Nothing is too insignificant to be addressed. And the more one follows it, the more one will value her thoroughness, her dedication, her excellence. The more people minimize the program, it's watering things down, just like Krishna consciousness. The more you want to water it down, fine, but something diluted doesn't have the potency, right? If I offer you orange juice and I give you half water, it's like milk in Vrindavan, right? Milk means it's usually water and heaven knows what else. So here, the more you adhere to this, just, you know, don't be a blind follower, read why she says to do it. If you're not sitting straight, your head is the heaviest part of your body, and it'll put you to sleep. But if you sit up, that's why the yogis sit straight. Otherwise, everything is practical. So do find out the why as well as the what. So here she shows correct sitting posture. She shows it on another page in the main book for a left-handed child. Little Hemant, you're left-handed. Hold up your left hand. Like Govardhan, Jai. He's left-handed. I think you're left-handed too? No, somebody else here was left-handed. You're left-handed. Left-handed usually in Krishna consciousness means muchi. But according to the experts, left-handed people usually are among the geniuses. You're in good company. Einstein, Da Vinci, Rembrandt. The list is very long. They're considered very creative. It means you're more right-brained than left-brained. So you have a high degree of creativity. Genius, actually. The left-brained is life skills. You know, I have to be someplace on time. I have to put my shoes on after my socks. There's some geniuses that put their watch on a picture of hand so they know if this is my left hand or this is my right hand. They're that out there. It happens, you know, they get so out there. Many geniuses have been labeled as stupid, but they just miss the real essence of what they were capable of, okay? There's a page here showing the child right-handed and left-handed how to hold a pencil, like a little kitten. With you watch your little, like a pivot, like a dancer, with your little finger here, and then you take 2 fingers and your thumb. This looks like a little birdie. Yes, very good. And he's on his little pivot. And all the professional calligraphers write this way. And the left-handed child, the same way. Even the chalk. She shows you how to hold a piece of chalk. She doesn't leave out a thing. And she always tells you to go from left to right so the dyslexic child doesn't flip things. Because the dyslexic child sees from right to left. Everything is flipped. And she even tells you to erase the board from left to right. So the child gets the idea in which sequence. That's why this was developed for dyslexics. How should the thing flow? From left to right. So you'll see that, the chalk, the left-handed pencil holder, right-handed pencil holder. This page is brilliant. This page shows the 6 features plus the circle for making perfect letters. Many children are left to devise their own handwriting. And that is why they're often poor readers and poor spellers. Because like a camera that's out of focus, they don't have a clear image. Now we can guess, even if we see bad handwriting, we're familiar enough with writing to read even bad handwriting. But a child doesn't have that. So she teaches the child perfecting the circle and 6 straight features, 5 straight lines, perfecting that first, and how you apply that to letters. Lowercase, and on the next page, all of them, and then uppercase. And I can tell you, children can, even little ones, with a little bit of training and practice, they can make perfect alphabet, upper lowercase. Just knowing the positions of a clock, 2, 10, 8, 4, and the straight lines, those. I always say that in ballet, there are only 5 steps that are taught. And from that, whole ballets are written. Music, 8 notes. So anything complex derives from something simple. And if the simple is mastered, the complex will evolve. If the simple is not mastered, the complex will collapse. Right? If you can't say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, how in heaven's name would you know the alphabet? You have to master the minimum. So she does that. She masters the minimum in everything, the phonograms, the positions for sitting, for writing, the forms for the letters. Okay? Now again, we're spending a lot of time on theory before we actually start Spalding. But once we do, we hope you'll be convinced that this is worth your time. And that you can convince others that it's worth their time, because the rewards will be reaped. On the next page, as the child gets older, the child is taken from print by connecting into the script by the end of the 2nd year, beginning of the 3rd. Okay? In the middle of the book, you have the 70 phonograms, which are the foundation of the spelling program.
Can I use the water?
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have... I'll get some cups, too.
No problem. I can use the glass.
So this is my cup. I have cups that people want water.
Mataji, I got it. The bottle is here.
Do you have your bottle?
Prabhu has, I think, got it.
Mandy, I have others packed away. I should keep more out when we have classes. Okay? All right? So in the center of the book is the center of the spelling program, the 70 Spalding phonograms. Okay? This we call our centerfold picture. Now, from this point on, we have more technical information. The rules for teaching the spelling list. Remember, it's 2,300 words. And this spelling list is what often terrifies people when they see it. Because normally the approach is see the word, the child has to go home and memorize how to spell it. We're going to ask you to clear the hallway, somebody's coming through. Okay? It's really important that we do that, so there's no obstruction. Okay?
2,000?
But the spelling, 2,300 words in the spelling list in that second section. And here, the system using also the pronunciation and rule guide integrated with the spelling list. So pronunciation and rule guides are integrated, they're not taught separately. Many programs teach grammar separately. In this case, no, the grammar is integrated with the spelling list. Okay? It looks a little complicated, but once you've seen a demonstration, it's not hard. If you were to describe, someone would describe how to make a rasgulla and you never knew, it would sound a little hard. But if someone demonstrates it and then coaches you, then you can make a rasgulla. So there's no real difficulty. And so many people who will claim that Spalding is very complicated will send their children to dance school to learn complicated mudras and steps, to music school to learn the notes and complicated drum beats, to go to sports and learn all kinds of, or yoga, complicated postures. And suddenly the most important thing in life, which is reading, oh, this is too complicated. It's even bigger with spiritual life. Oh, that's too complicated. Seems like the more important something is, the less credence is given to the procedures. You know, and it's something very unimportant. We spend a lot of time on that. I shouldn't say that music is important and sports are important. All these things are important. But the idea, if children are able to do those things, why can they not do Spalding? Okay. Now we have the first page of there are two notebooks, primary level and secondary. So here we have a sample page of the primary notebook on this page here. Primary spelling vocabulary notebook, sample page.
You said Spalding does spelling and grammar together.
It integrates the pronunciation and rural grammars as the words are presented. It's an integrated program.
More of that in detail later? Or?
Yes, we'll see this, for instance, the very first word, me. You'll see Rule 4. And the child will be able to tell you what that means. It's a pronunciation and spelling rule. Okay? So this is for the first level, the primary book. On the next page, you'll see the notebook for the second level. Intermediate spelling vocabulary notebook, sample page. So this little booklet gives you a sample for almost everything in the big book. I've taken the most important examples, and you have them in this little study guide walkthrough. Now here is a code. You know me, I like codes. There are 29 rules, and to write them all out is a little bit overwhelming. Someone may look at that and again, oh no. But here I just put a code for the 29. And here, these are the basic pronunciation rules, and they're introduced with the spelling list, so that the child automatically, if he sees a word me, and he says Rule 4, he'll tell you what Rule 4 is, and he'll recognize it in similar situations. You had a question? No. Okay? So this is sort of a summary code. In the book, it's explained. Okay, what are those 29 rules? Some of them are very easy, familiar. Some of them very esoteric. But almost any unusual spelling situation you'll have in English is addressed in one of those rules. On the next page, we have the writing process in 3 basic types of compositions. So the 3 are informative, narrative, and a combination. Informative, narrative.
What are these, Mataji?
You see them in your little booklet? 3 types of writing are taught. There are other types. There are other types of writing, but these 3 are good for children. One is just a narrative. One is just informative. Like, you know, today is a hot day, you know, just facts. And one combines the 2, an informative narrative. Many children's stories are like that. They call it embedded knowledge. It'll be a story perhaps about, I had many little books like that for the children. The rabbit goes into the garden, but he wants to plant a garden. So it's a story about a rabbit, but basically he gets the tool shed and he gets the seeds and he gets the watering can. And it's really a book on how to plant a garden. But it's told in a story form. We'll be doing that at the VIG, right? We could be giving a dry lecture, but we're going to turn it into a drama. So it's called embedded knowledge. Question?
So do these 3 types include things like reports and procedures?
No, not necessarily. There are many, many types. Even essays, there are at least 12 major subdivisions of just essay. But for the beginning child, they use just these 3 models. And they use even a little form here. Like if it's a narrative, it will have setting, characters, place, plot, resolution. So they know what are the essential features of major literary forms. And right away they start writing. At the beginning they'll write sentences from the spelling list, then 2 sentences for the same thing. Then they'll use all the words in one little story. So right away, everything's integrated. The spelling list becomes the basis for stories, for writing, for marking grammar. Everything is taught. That way you're not, it's integrated. They don't have to go from one class to another, and they don't see the connection. They see how grammar is part of spelling and writing. Here we have what reading is. Reading is not how to read a book. Reading is called the attributes of quality literature, and there are 5. So the child is taught how to analyze 5 features. You see the 5 here. Is the language precise? They analyze the book. Does it have emotional appeal? Is it, what's the content? Is there embedded information? Does it have insight into people and their lives? And is it universal? Okay? A little child is taught to analyze those features in books. It's a very elevated state of analysis. Turn the page again, and here you see how to teach comprehension. And these are the 5 mental actions. Is a child comprehending what he reads? And you test him on these 5 features. Can he monitor what he's doing himself? Does he sense, I know or I don't know what I'm reading? And can he form connections? And another one is, can he make predictions? Can he reformat? That's my whole program. In my course, all I do is I take information and I put it in a new package. Reformatting, very important skill. Even like a little book like this, I take information and I put it in a new package. And can he summarize? So these are 5 mental actions by which a child is taught to think. Okay. The next page is a sample. We have a literary reading list. We don't worry about this so much as devotees because we use our books, but I just put that in here. Most important here, you have here an example of a page of a syllabus. Now a syllabus is a prescribed course in which it presents scope and pace. Scope means how much, pace means how fast. You have to do something in a fixed time. So if in 1 year Spalding says you have to master certain features, that means I have to do this much at this rate. Okay, scope and pace. Okay. So she gives example, and she will give you the codes later for that. She has M for mastery. That means at this point, the child has, you have taught it. The child has mastered the information. Before that, you haven't taught it. You have introduced it and practiced. Now you have a little biography on Spalding. And on the last page, we talked already about the endorsements. Okay? So this is our little walkthrough program. Everybody clear now? Okay, so really fast now. In 2 minutes, walk through the book with your partner. Just really fast. Tell them what's in your walkthrough book. Okay. The question has arisen. What is a phonogram? And we also have a tutor, phonograms video tutor, that we give children. It takes about 16 minutes. Phono is a Greek word for sound. Gram is a Greek word for writing. Words like grammar, grammatical. So the two together mean the written form of a sound. The alphabet letters do not necessarily represent the sounds that will be heard in a spelling word. That is why English is so difficult. Half of the words are not spelled the way they sound. So spelling becomes a problem. Serious problem. 50% chance of misspelling a word. So if we say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, we will say the letter F, but we will say the phonogram. You see? And if we say the letter B, we don't say the E sound because there may be an A next to it. So we just say B. So it is the sound of that, it is the written form to be pronounced to create the sound. So when I see a phonogram, if you take the very last one, you see this O-U-G-H? 6 sounds. And the child learns all 6. So he doesn't just say O-U-G-H. He'll say O, U, of, off, aw, ow. And he'll number them. And if it's a word that says the first sound, like O, though, who, through, uff, rough, off, cough, ah, O, U, of, ah. I'm trying to think of, the last one is bough, like a bough on a tree, B-O-U-G-H. I can't think of the fifth one right now, an example. But each time that appears, those 4 letters are underscored and numbered. So if you have the word cough, you would see ksa, O-U-G-H. It's 5 letters, but 2 phonograms. You see the difference? And a phonogram may be 1 or a fixed combination of more than 1 letter. And it may make 1 sound, and it may make up to 6 sounds. So this sounds a little complicated, but children go through it, and when they learn it and they master this, they're reading. Because they don't see alphabet. Alphabet gets in the way. It impedes spelling, it impedes reading. Phonograms, right away. They walk around and they start to see, oh, there's the 2. Like right now, see, this is the 2-letter phonogram. That's why I will give you some statistics now. Did you all have ample time to go through the little booklet? Does the little booklet convince you that the system is very developed? Right? Most of your little booklets in school would not have this much philosophical foundation. There'll be a list of spelling words and some grammar exercises, but the deep philosophy will not be presented, usually. Let's get some statistics. You may write now. This is what I feel is compelling. Let us take the usual system, the average system, okay, on this side, and the Spalding system on this side. This is the average see and say method. I see the word and the little child learns to say ball, top, see and say. It's called see and say. Let us compare the 2. In the first grade, grade 1, the see and say method, if taught properly, enables a first grader by the end of the year to decode 1,500 words. If the see and say method is properly taught, now I'm not saying improperly taught, I'm saying if it's properly presented, a first grader will decode by the end of the school term 1,500 words. That is the average. Okay? First grade. Ball, top, bee, hat. Spalding, first grade. Are you ready? 24,000 words. 24th, a first grader who knows the Spalding phonograms spelling system and has been properly taught. It can be, anything can be properly or improperly taught. That's why I'm stressing when we train people, train them properly, because if they're trained improperly, people will blame the system. Like Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is not the problem. It's the application of it that might be the problem, right? Krishna consciousness is perfect. The application may be imperfect. If properly presented and taught, a first-year student will decode 24,000 words. So which would you prefer? As a teacher? As a student? As a parent? Would you, if you were a parent, would you want your child to, after the first grade, be able to read Bat, Hat, Cat, Fat, or would he be able to pick up any book and read it? That's statistic now. Okay, everybody? Okay, turn around and tell your neighbor the statistics, because when you're breaking a presentation, you can. This is verified. I'm not making this up.